Today on RCAM, we are going to be discussing the 3-year long sex strike that Julia Fox, who, for those of you who don't know, that's Kanye's ex girlfriend. That's pretty much the only reason I know who this individual is. So she's been on a sex strike for nearly 3 years. We're also going to be discussing a California mom that was fined for collecting clams. She was fined $88,000. Seems a little harsh. We're also going to be discussing a transgender character in Paper Mario. Yeah, because why not insert transgenderism into a children's game? Why not? And then we'll also be discussing the prospect: are men's relationships doomed if they're short? So all that and more today on RCAM. All right. So welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. We're not going to have a super long stream today, but there are some stories that I did want to cover because I found them interesting. And this one with Julia Fox, I think, is actually pretty funny to me. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Julia Fox is... the only reason I know who this woman is because Kanye West dated her for a little bit. I also have someone that I went to high school with. I guess like she's from the area that I grew up in, so that's kind of interesting. But now I guess she's famous, and she went on this sex strike, which is what we'll be talking about today. So I'm going to be reading from Screenshot, and the headline reads: Julia Fox says she won't have sex until U.S. women get their rights back. Oh no. Please don't do that. That's horrible. You got us. All right. So last week, Bumble decried celibacy in a controversial billboard ad that had netizens, guys, I'm gonna be real, I don't even know what that word means, including Julia Fox, admit that they've been happily celibate for many years, 2.5 years of celibacy, and never been better, to be honest, the former dominatrix replied to a post of the ad. So yeah, for those of you who missed it, Bumble came out with this billboard basically discouraging women to be not remain celibate. Let's see if we could find that ad real quick. Come with us to Bumble event. Where's the billboard? I don't know. I don't think we're gonna find it. I don't feel like looking for it. But anyway, they released this ad. They got a lot of backlash about it, because basically they mocked the idea of being a virgin, and it did not go over well. Not at all. And I guess this is kind of in comes Julia Fox, who has been celibate for the past 2.5 years. And the reason that she's become celibate is because she is this was in protest of Roe versus Wade. So hold on, I just want to jump back there. So she said, "I think nothing good comes from having sex," Fox replied, joking that this includes having children. So she's doing it to not have children, which I find rich, by the way. I find that rich because this proves something that people have said isn't effective, and that's that abstinence works. Who would have thought? Who would have thought by not having sex, you don't risk having an unwanted pregnancy? It's like, wow, my mind is blown right now. And except anybody with basic common sense could have told you this. So the argument that celibacy doesn't work just literally went out the window. Because obviously it does work if that's what she's doing to prevent having children. And yeah, I think that's a very compelling argument. If you don't want children, don't be engaging in the very action that's going to result in pregnancy. See, if I don't want something to happen to me, I don't engage in the action that leads to the outcome that I don't want. It seems like common sense to me, but we live in a culture that doesn't have any self control. So they don't really think that far ahead. But if you exercise a little bit of self control, a little bit of discipline, and you just don't give in to your sexual impulses, then you don't have to deal with unwanted pregnancy. It's actually very simple. Abstinence is 100% effective. It's the most effective form of contraception because you're not engaging in, again, the act that will result in pregnancy. And I'm glad she is making the argument for us. So she said, I think with the overturning of Roe versus Wade and our rights being stripped away from us, this is the way that I can take back control. And it just sucks that it has to be this way. But I just don't feel comfortable until things change. And I hope they never do. uh, what what an ironic thing to do, because by doing this, she's actually just uh, doing exactly what we ultimately want. And I hope she takes it a step further. All right, I hope that she remains celibate until she gets married, and then only has sex with her husband, whom she loves. I think if she does that, she's really going to send a message. And I think more women should follow Julia Fox's lead and refrain from having sex. You don't have to wait until Roe versus Wade gets overturned, because you're going to be waiting for or reinstated. You're going to be waiting forever. Just wait until you get married, and then I think that'll go well for you. I think that'll be beneficial. I think you will have the kind of joy that she has. She says her life has never been better. So just all the more reason to remain celibate until marriage. So yeah, do it. Follow her lead. But with all seriousness, it is really funny to me that this is the own. um, yeah, don't convince us to go even harder on against abortion rights, And two, it does go to show you that laws do result in people changing their actions. Now, this, she's doing it out of spite, but still, it got kind of the same desired outcome. So I think that's a win. I would call that a win. I would say that is a job well done. So kudos to Julia Fox. I hope she continues her protest. And I hope that, more people follow her lead. I just want to read a little bit more of this. So we'll jump back to the story real quick. When the U.S. state of Georgia introduced a new law banning abortions after a heartbeat is detected, actress and feminist campaigner Alyssa Milano urged women to stage a sex strike. You know who this ultimately hurts too? Like, it doesn't hurt conservative men. It just hurts weak, pathetic liberal men anyway. So good. Good. They're the ones that benefit from abortion the most. So yeah, I think they're kind of assaulting this in two fronts, and I think that's great. And I do think celibacy, honestly, just being totally for real right now, is a massive win for our culture. And I think we would be better off if more people were celibate and more people waited until marriage before having sex, because that's a very reason for marriage. Marriage is for the formation of family, and you're a lot less likely to have to worry about providing for your kids and caring for your kids if you're in a long-term committed relationship with somebody that you love. So I think, yeah, we will see what happens. Now, as good of a news as this is, there are still people that radicalize me. And I'm going to show you a video that is honestly very disturbing once you realize the reason that she's dancing. So this is someone from TikTok, and It's headline or titled "My Fetus Dancing Right Before It Was Aborted."
Like a tick. Clapping back, bitch, I'm clapping on the dick. Bust it, I'm a savage. Bitch, throw it back like a 10-year challenge. Take him to the crib, then I push him on the sofa. Have his breath smelling like
Demon abortion counselor, absolutely demonic, just horrific. And there are people that really will be like, nobody's celebrating abortion. I give you Exhibit A of people celebrating abortion. I recently just showed I think it was yesterday, a clip of Busy Phillips screaming like a banshee because she uh, aborted her first child for her career. So abortion is celebrated literally all the time. And it's women like this too that make a compelling case for the death sentence for people who abort their children. Women like that. I think that one, I think, yeah, the death sentence would be appropriate for her because she knows what she's doing. She knows she's murdering her baby. And she's doing it anyway with a smile on her face and dancing about it. That's sick. She's not a victim of propaganda. She knows what she's doing and she doesn't care. And yeah, I think if that's your mentality and you're standing before a judge, if you got sentenced to death, I think it's entirely justified, 100%, without question, if you are dancing, celebrating the murder of unborn babies. She knows. She knows what she's doing, and it's sick and wrong. So, yeah, things like this do make me want to see laws with harsh punishments for women like this. But I do understand there are women who have unfortunately been brainwashed where they really don't believe it is a baby. They've been suckered by the LGBT or no the pro-abortion propaganda, and it's been effective in reaping havoc on the minds of these women. And the result is some of them are unintentionally murdering their own children. And one day they will come to realize it. A good example of this is a woman like Abby Johnson. She didn't realize the depth to what she was doing until she actually saw the procedures happening, and then she repented and then had to live with the fact that all these babies' blood is on her hands. And yeah, I think that's a huge problem, and I think these women should be shamed, and hopefully she is, and that we don't see more of this stuff happen. All right, next story. All right, so I am somebody that believes that we should be able to do a lot more in nature than we are allowed to do because of all these restrictions. It legitimately annoys me that I have to buy a fishing license every year. Well, actually, in South Carolina, you could do it every 3 years, but still annoying. Like, we should just be able to fish. I get why they do it. It still annoys me, all right? So this woman from California, mom fined $88K after kids collect 72 clams from California beach thinking they were seashells. Ruined our trip. Shell-shocked. Yeah. And that's a lot of clams. Talk about the amount of money that she has to spend to pay in legal fees because she went clam collecting. Let me jump back there because there's another story I want to pull up in a little bit. So, a California mother was slapped with a fine of $88,000 after her kids mistakenly collected clams thinking they were picking up seashells on the beach without a fishing license. See? A fishing license? Clamming isn't fishing, technically. And come on, they're just kids. They didn't know any better. Charlotte Russ was on her family trip to Pismo Beach, known as the clam capital of the world, when she said her kids were picked up 72 clams from the clamming hotspot during their getaway. The Department of Fish and Wildlife confronted the mother of 5 and told her that her kids were collecting clams. Imagine being, all right, this is like the Karen of, wildlife and fish and wildlife enforcers. Like they're kids, man. Are just let it go. And issued her a ticket right before we wed. That's when I saw the amount. She later received a fine in the mail ordering her to pay $88,933 before a San Luis Obispo County judge knocked her fine down to $500. Much more reasonable, but still insane. Like have a little bit. See, this is where mercy, I think, comes into play. If somebody sincerely doesn't understand that they've broken or violated some law, I think that's a good opportunity to show a little bit of mercy. Hey, you're not supposed to be doing this. I'm not going to give them a warning. Don't fine them $88,000. That's crazy town. There's been times where I've been caught speeding, and I was actually speeding. Now I think the last time I got a speeding ticket, I just wasn't aware. I wasn't paying attention, and that cop had mercy on me, and I was very grateful. And I think we would do a world of good if we had mercy on people. And sorry, guys, I'm sleepy. I'm sleepy today. But if we had mercy on people instead of fining them, especially for something like this, just seems innocuous to me. This is a clam capital of the world, and you ended up ruining their family vacation. And I guess they learned their lesson, and they surely will not be doing that again. But I think it is ironic too, coming from California. Someone had pointed out, I don't remember who, but they're basically like, "Oh, you can loot stores, but you can't take any clams." That's a bridge too far. Stealing clams, absolutely not. Looting stores, fine. And and that happens constantly in California. And it's ironic to me that the people that clam get treated more harshly than the people that are actually looting stores, stealing material goods in mass, and coordinating. And obviously they know that is wrong. There's no feigning innocence. Like, oh, you mean I couldn't loot this Target? What? Wow, I had no idea. No, they know. But if you're a tourist and you don't know how their laws work when it comes to clamming and fishing and wildlife, then yeah, you're not going to you're not gonna know. So I do think this the person that fined her is being a major Karen. That's Karen energy, and I think it's ridiculous. All right, next story. All right, Super Mario character confirmed as transgender in new video game. They can't leave anything alone. They are now turning characters in a Super Mario's game transgender. A children's game, mind you. This is Paper Mario. Now, I've never played Paper Mario, but I do find this off-putting. So, a remake of the hit RPG Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, has confirmed one of its main villains is transgender. Well, at least they got the villain part right. The game first released on Nintendo GameCube in 2004 and was the second installment in the Paper Mario series. On May 23rd, a remake of it was released on Nintendo Switch with an upgraded graphics, animation, and sound. And the remake has confirmed that one of the main villains, called Vivian, is transgender, and this is dialogue from the game. Truth is, it took me a while to realize I was their sister, not their brother. Now their unusual bullying feels heavier. Well, maybe don't pretend that you're something you're not. At least the people that are putting this into a children's game, and this is clear indoctrination. They can't keep their hands out of everything. They gotta corrupt entertainment. They gotta corrupt TV. They gotta corrupt movies, books. and now children's games, because they want them to be indoctrinated at every avenue they have available. And they will be unrelenting. And I advise parents to stay away from this game with a 10-foot pole. If they continue to do it, then maybe it's time to give Nintendo the boycott treatment, or whoever made this game. It's kind of boycott treatment, Bud Light treatment. It's insane to me that they even allow this to begin with. Like, who are they? Like, how many transgender kids are playing Paper Mario? Why would you need to include this unless you have nefarious reasons? Unless you are preying on children, which is what I believe they're ultimately doing. They're trying to sow confusion to them by playing these gender bending games, and I think we should have absolutely none of it. All right, and this is going to bring me to my last story. Sorry, I'm moving along quick. I'm just tired, guys. I'm just gonna be real. I am tired. I gotta put my daughter to bed, and then I got a space at 9 o'clock. So we'll cover this last story, and then we'll call it a night. Pro-pedophile activist group celebrates as Germany decriminalizes child porn possession. Sick. Like, we don't even really need to read beyond that to realize we shouldn't be decriminalizing that. It should be going in the other direction. We should be enforcing harsher penalties for people that do this. So Germany's parliament has received the votes necessary to remove a section of their criminal code which made the possession of child sexual abuse materials a felony crime. Once the bill passed last Thursday comes into effect, minimum sentences for the possession of child pornography will be reduced, and that offense will be downgraded to a misdemeanor. According to the Bundestage, the bill stipulates that the possession and acquisition should be punishable with a minimum penalty of 3 months imprisonment, and distribution with the minimum of penalty of 6 months imprisonment. The offense regulated in Section 18.4b of the Criminal Code are therefore classified as misdemeanors, not crimes. No, these should be violent crimes. Maybe the people that watch it can do 10 years in prison, and the people that distribute it can just be executed. I think we should start there. I think we should go as harsh as possible, because there's no reason that anybody should be looking at this content. It's disgusting, sick, and evil. And the people that do it and peddle it and watch it, they need to face judgment for that. Harsh, strict judgment. And when you reduce the severity of the punishment for the crime, if you reduce it to a misdemeanor like Germany is doing, then expect to see a lot more of it, because people know they're just going to get a slap on the wrist. And instead, we should be striking fear in their hearts, where they know if they attempt to do something like this, that is going to be dealt with harshly, and possibly even resulting in their death. I think that would be a step forward in combating this. I think the core of the issues that we face as a culture is because we are soft on crime generally. And if we were a lot tougher on crime, we actually enforced the law and actually gave just punishments for these psychos, the world would be a better place, and it would be safer for our children, which are ultimately the people that suffer in this. This is not, them, selling bootleg copies of movies. This is them selling material where children are being exploited in horrific ways. Some of the most horrific ways imaginable. And that crime should not be taken lightly. These people should be punished to the fullest extent the law allows, because that is justice, because that is good, because that will disincentivize other perverts from acting on their impulses. I've said it before and I'll say it again, deterrents work. But they don't work when you actually don't punish crime. You can have a law that says, it's bad to do this thing, but if someone actually breaks the law and then you do nothing, or you give a very light sentencing, well, you're now emboldening them to continue doing the very thing the law states they should not do. You're giving them a free pass. There has to be consequences for action. And for this, the most severe consequences the law allows. And if the law doesn't allow for severe consequences, it should be changed immediately. So I feel really sad for the children in Germany that are going to suffer because of these psychopaths. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a space at 9 o'clock. We're going to be talking about creating a better world for our kiddos. And I hope you can make it. So that'll be at 9. I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to a nice Memorial Day weekend. So I hope you guys have a blessed weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Have a blessed night. Deuces.